Welcome to Business Notes. I'm your host, Diane Bogino. Our guest today is Jessica Brustad. Jessica is the co-founder and chairmom of Playful Mind Project, and she is a former improv and stand-up comedian turned yoga instructor and laughter yoga leader. Yep, you heard it right. She actually teaches people how to laugh. Her unique style of high energy mixed with mindfulness practices are sure to entertain, educate, and motivate you on your own path to wellness, balance, and most of all, joy. Jessica, welcome to Business Notes, and thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
I know you're a new mom, so I know these kinds of things are not easy to fit in your schedule.
Yes. She's napping, so we're just praying the nap continues.
Well, we'll talk soft. But first of all, I want to ask you, why did you start the Playful Mind Project?
Yes, Playful Mind Project came out of this pandemic that we're all in right now. So both myself and my business partner, Rona Lewis, we were individual motivational speakers. And then the pandemic happened. And obviously, no more conferences, no more live in-person events. One has to pivot. And what we like to say is shift. So we met through the pandemic. We didn't even know each other before. And get this, we still have never even met in person. And we're in business together. We have an LLC. We're like, so that's the way of the world right now, right? And so we really found the need to shift in our own businesses as entrepreneurs, as well as the needs of society changing. So the biggest thing for me as a new mom was I was starting to hear a lot about how this pandemic has disproportionately affected women in the workforce, and particularly mothers. And so as a new mother myself, I started to get really interested in this, listening to Melinda Gates. She has a lot of great information out there about this and done a lot of work with women. And we are at the lowest employment rate since the early 1980s for women. That is two generations. I'm a millennial. I'm not Gen Z, which is the one behind me. I was born in the early 80s. And that really shocked me. And I was like, we got to do something about this. So even though Playful Mind Project is for everyone, my main focus running the B2C side, the business to consumer division of our product, is focused on working mommies. And that means everything, right? Stay at home. If you're a full-time stay-at-home mommy, you're working, or working mommies like myself, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, or working mommies who have that 9 to 5 with remote learning and daycare options not happening, and everything our society has we've always leaned on mothers to handle. Well, when this pandemic hit, when we don't have nationalized paternity leave or even maternity leave, we don't have childcare options that are affordable, a lot of moms had to leave the workforce. And I heard some heartbreaking stories. I found my dream job before 2020, and then I had to quit because of my 2 kids, and I had to be home with them with remote learning and no one to take care of them. So that's why I started the Playful Mind Project, is I really wanted to help working mommies with their stress loads during this extremely stressful time.
Mm. I guess, Jessica, we should make some comment about your background there.
Yeah, sure.
You were in your closet.
I'm in my closet, yes. So
That is not a background.
sadly, no, or truly no. Yes. So I used to have an office space. I would go to one of those, like WeWork spaces, and all those things, right? But those are all gone now as well. So I have my desk in our walk-in closet, because I can shut the door and my baby, it's far from my baby. And I've seen so many people that are in this exact same spot right now. And how do you navigate it? And how do you feel organized and not stressed and cluttered and just mind stress, even when I just physically have this stuff around me? It's stressful.
Yeah, I can imagine. My goodness. Well, tell us, what are your play sessions like?
So we have developed a five-step model called Play. Now I know Play is a four-letter word, but we have an exclamation mark, so so that's why it's five. And and so with the Play method, basically P stands for plug in, and this is where we attune to the client that's with us in our session. And these are one-on-one, so want to make sure that that is clear, because we do have the business to business side, which is what Rona handles, which is more group play and working with organizations for creativity and productivity. On my end, the business to consumer side, we're really working one-on-one, and you cannot attune to a group. You can only attune to one other person. So that P stands for plugging in, attuning to where your energy levels at physically, mentally, emotionally, in the moment that day. And that's what I love about these sessions, is that when we get on with these mommies, I, like I said, I work with non-mommies as well, women, men, we're really having that time to kind of, okay, check in. Where am I? How am I feeling? And then the L stands for level the playing field. So we do like an icebreaker game or like a breath work game to kind of get them in the mood of play. What we like to say is, you can't play when you're cranky, but you can definitely start a session not in a good mood. And by the end, our job is to shift that mood from stressed to silly, from cranky to what have you. And then the A stands for apply and adapt. So what we do is, as we play these games that aren't just games, right? They're not all fun and games silly. They have purpose to them. And so we play the games, and then we ask the client to adapt them to their lifestyle. So where can we infuse this in your most stressful part of your week? Oh, it's always, the dishes every day is what stresses me out. Okay, so this game we just played, we're gonna see if we can play that while we're doing the dishes. Or looking at your stove knobs. Okay, there's 4 knobs on your stove. That's going to be your reminder to take those 4 breaths that we practiced in our session. Things like that, applying and adapting. Because what I like to say is that practice doesn't make perfect. We know that, right? Practice doesn't even make progress, in my mind. Practice makes permanence. If you don't use it, you lose it, right? So it's all about that rep, building that muscle. So how can we apply and adapt this outside of our sessions together? The Y stands for yes, and I am a former improviser and stand-up comedian. And the first rule of improv at any school is yes, and. And I like to really apply that into my life as agree to the current reality. Yes, acceptance. How do we practice that acceptance? Yes, I'm stressed. Yes, my kids are pulling at me while I'm in a meeting on Zoom in my closet. Yes, this is happening. Not trying to change what's happening, right? We focus on shifts, not changing. Everything that's happening is here for a reason and is something that we can benefit from if we can make that positive mind shift. So agree to the current reality and build on it. And that again is that applying and adapting games, breath work, exercises that we do together in session to the rest of your week, to the rest of your day. And then that exclamation point at the end is always ending on a high note. So do we, celebrating our wins or like our realizations during the session, maybe making up like a secret handshake that then we're going to build on every week, or coming up with something silly that we could also do with the kids, or the kids come in at the end because they can't wait the whole 30 minutes and we're just like, "Rah!" So it's a bunch of fun, but it's
That
purposeful
you
play.
on your website, you have both a tape or a video of your I'm dating myself now, a video of one of your improvs, and also I guess it's a one-on-one session with the whisk.
Yes,
The-
yes.
so I want to encourage them to go look at that because it was really fun. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so fun, so
Yeah.
fun.
So you may get a lot of pushback from this, but how does play fit into business?
We do. And sometimes people have even advised us in the past, oh, don't use the word play, and that, a lot of people can think like that. We always hear all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, or that they're so opposites, work and play. I have to work hard enough to then get my play, right? Well, there is the National Institute of Play. The founder of that is Dr. Stuart Brown, and he has fabulous research studies and fabulous books. And probably my favorite quote of his is that the opposite of play is not work. The opposite of play is depression. Unpack that for a bit, right? It's juicy. So a lot of times we put work and play in these two separate camps. And really the secret of life is to find that they can be one and the same, because play is not a thing. Play is an attitude. It's a mindset. I'm sure you've heard a lot about the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. There's a lot going around about that recently. And that's what the playful mind is. It's a growth mindset. It's seeing a challenge and how can I play with this? Or taking a mundane task, like I mentioned, the dishes, and how can I make it fun? Well, I enjoy it if I put on my Whitney Houston song. Like, well, then put on your Whitney Houston song and get the dishes done. So the same thing in corporate America. I've worked with people, not to diss on accountants, but accountants that might have kind of a boring push buttons job. And how can we gamify it? How can we interact more with the people at work if you're the extrovert and that fuels you, or if you're the introvert? How can we do some types of games, or bringing in song, dance, laughter, playfulness, improv, all these things, so that you are truly enjoying yourself in your day? And that does increase productivity, um, uh, uh, um, human capital retainment, lowering turnover, increasing team morale. All of these things happen when we choose that playful mindset at work.
Yeah, that's a profound statement about the depression being the opposite of play. Good grief. So tell us, why is emotional intelligence and I want to get this right, HXM, so important?
So yes, HXM, human experience management, has become kind of this new hot buzzword in the last year or so, rightfully so, with the pandemic and 2020, what we just all went through. And that it's no longer, I mean, you think of the word human resources, HR, right? And even right there, it's in the name of, like, you're a resource. You're a resource, as opposed to a person, or you're an investment. And the people are, it's human capital, right? We're investing with people that we bring onto our companies, and we need to make good decisions around that. At the same time, with generations like myself, millennials, or now the Gen Z coming in, the experience is a huge part of their staying factor with an organization. And so it's no longer, I used to work in wellness, physical wellness programs. I worked at big companies like Qualcomm and Active, and I would go teach traditional yoga there because I was a traditional yoga instructor ever since 2010. And I really learned over the years, anybody can come in and, like, teach people 15 jumping jacks, right? Anybody can get people moving, or, hey, biggest loser competitions at work, right? Like, lose weight. That does not speak to the well-being of the individual. And the generations that are coming up are really focused on that individual customized experience. They're used to it. Think about it. Netflix serves them up exactly what they want based on their preferences. All of the internet does that, and they're used to that. So now when they're coming into corporations, and the corporations don't care about their human experience at the job, they're like, okay, no, thank you. And so it's a very important, and especially in a post 2020 world where home and work, case in point right here, have merged like no other. This is the time that we need to check in with our humans that work with us. We need to check in with their experience, not just the, oh, are they getting XYZ done? How are they feeling? There is some really interesting stats around mental health post 2020, and that it is now, I believe, it's only 34% of working Americans who believe that they have good mental health. Only 34%. So it is a time where we need to care about their experience, and their experience not only with the company and how we're treating them, but the whole being, right? realizing the people dealing with remote learning, realizing the people that are caregiving for elderly parents. And all of these things, really, we find a way to infuse play. What I like to say is, from safety, we find our silly. Right? If you feel safe enough to play with someone, you're going to play with them, right? If you don't feel safe, you're going to be guarded and shy. It goes back the other way too. From silly, we can find our safety. So as we work with companies and with individuals, getting into that silly mindset, having these purposeful play type things allow employees to feel safer at work, to have difficult conversations with their manager or their partner, to bring things up. Things come up in play and they're like, wow, wow, that's how you feel too. Like, they feel seen. And that's the power of play. And that's why this human experience management, and it's so important with this pandemic and where we are now and where we're going to go post pandemic as well.
Right. Yeah. And speaking of that, and now that you're a mom, how has 2020 changed the path for working moms? I mean, what's coming down the pike for working moms now that you say, so few are or so many are unemployed now?
Yeah. It's Now that's a hard question to answer, right? Because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. We know what's happening right now. We know that moms have been hardest hit. And I think it's, a multiple pronged approach. Number one, it's through being active in voting and our government to try to make some changes there in terms of uh, lower barrier to entry financially for childcare, and having better systems in place with teachers in schools, even the amount of kids per teacher. I mean, there's all these things that really we've kind of left on the back burner for a while, and now are needing to be addressed with this pandemic. On top of that, having organizations realize the need and the priority for the female, the typically female, and this is anyone who identifies as being female, to be clear, the typically female attributes like empathy, compassion. These are things that aren't so much rooted in our patriarchal society, and that companies have been starting to see how much they're needed. Well, now in the post 2020 world, they're needed more than ever. So bringing more of those females into leadership. And so what I would say for, I'm a female entrepreneur. I'm in it. I'm not at a large corporation right now where I have a large title or manage a lot of people. But I would just speak out to anyone in management, anyone in a leadership position, to number one, be checking in with their mommies, and in HR to really start to look at the numbers. How many people are leaving that are women? And in the exit interviews, to find out why they are leaving. We try to do that a lot in exit interviews, but taking the time to have the hard question. And when you start to look at the data, when we're rehiring or when people are coming back into the workforce, I'm very passionate about, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And a lot of companies have tackled a lot of stuff this last year, hard stuff, right? Anti-racism in the workplace, we're tackling. Um, uh, uh, Gender identity, sexual orientation, all of these things have been talked about or are now getting woven into the corporate culture. Yet the thing that I think really hasn't been is motherhood and mental illness. And honestly, sometimes those things can be one and the same. I struggled with postpartum OCD after I had my child. I like to say this is a joke, but I got into recovery from postpartum OCD in February last year, right when the world got OCD, right when COVID hit. So right, everybody was like washing their hands and, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So I really think that there are great strengths that come from mothers. I mean, there is stuff that a mother can bring to the table at work that no one else can, with those qualities that our teams need, that human experience management needs. And so really making sure that we're valuing that, and we're seeing that there's a seat for everybody at the table, and that should include mothers. And if they're unable to get to that seat, How can we help them get there? You know, the words of Hillary Clinton back in the day, it takes a village. And we haven't had a village in a really long time. And this pandemic is showing us that.
Mm. Well, when you think about it, a good manager has the qualities of a good mom, the listening, the empathy, making adjustments, things
Yes.
of that nature.
Being
Yeah, adapting.
flexible.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 And
Yes.
so really valuing that so we can bring more of that into the workforce.
Exactly. Jessica, how do you like for people to get in touch with you if they want to work with you?
So we have a website that is www.playfulmindproject.com. And on that website, we have an intake form. We have a support page just to write us any question. It goes right to our inbox. You can also email us directly at shifthappens@playfulmindproject, because again, shift happens when you have a playful mind. And you can also follow us on all of the interwebs, right? Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube at Playful Mind Project.
And I want to say that I think you're the poster child today for working with where you are with what you have, just getting it done. Don't wait for perfect. Let's just do this. I love this that you're doing this in a closet.
Thank you. Let's just, just play with it. Just
That's
play with
right.
it.
Well, look, Jessica, the information you have brought today, companies really need to hone in on this and get a target on this for moms and for everyone that's struggling through this. We're coming out of it, but there's still going to be repercussions and backlashes and PTSD and all that good stuff. So it's
Yes.
going to have to be dealt with. And I appreciate the information that you brought to the audience today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you for watching Business Notes. We've been speaking with Jessica Brustad, co-founder and chairmom of Playful Mind Project. I'm your host, Diane Bogino, bringing you business ideas you can bank on.